To another impactful episode of the Power of Progression podcast. I am your host, John Marone. I am beyond excited for our guest today, which is Cayla Craft. She's the host of Mommy Millionaire Podcast, a mom of three, a self-made millionaire, a lifestyle entrepreneur. She was making a six-figure income on the side while working as a nurse in the ER. But by the end of the year, she was broke, and worse off, she had a broken mindset. She has decided to take charge of her broken mindset and to live a life that her and her family truly love. She went from victim to victor. She created an organization of 60,000 people, which is with Isagenix. If you guys haven't heard about it, you guys need to go check it out. Using that business knowledge and business building foundation, she's actually able to branch off and create a business strategist, basically platform where she helps others succeed. And that's her favorite part, is helping women succeed. And she believes that you should own your own story, which she has learned through many experiences and building businesses for the wrong reason and actually feeling the pain of it. Cayla has inspired thousands of women to believe in themselves as entrepreneurs and business women. Her main goal is to help women shamelessly pursue their ambitions and grow their business to 7 figures. Cayla created Mommy Millionaire to help women that desire to uplift, encourage, and rally around each other's success. And it pours out practical tips and business know-how that's actually relevant in today's market. So Cayla is here to help you design the life you've always wanted to live. Cayla, welcome to the Power Progression Podcast. How are you doing?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm doing really good after that introduction.
Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. I was looking you up on social media, and I am absolutely in love with what you do, the mission behind it, and really just helping women grow in all different equities. It's not just about business. I think that's the biggest thing that I took away. It's helping them uplift each other and truly building a community. And I got to say it, a movement, right? A movement around it. And I'm excited what it's going to look like in the next 12, 24 months. So once again, I appreciate you taking some time out to be here. So tell us, who is Cayla Craft? I just did an intro, but give us a little bit more insight on your story.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, I mean, how much time do we have, right?
We got as much time as you want, girl. The platform is yours.
So I grew up like being very different than the other kids around me. You know, it's like super normal for most kids to grow up in broken homes now. Like, 50% of marriages end in divorce now. But when I was 5 years old, my parents got a divorce, and my dad was a drug addict and went to jail. And I remember just living most of my life hiding because I was so scared that people were going to find out that my dad was in jail. And that sounds weird saying that now, because now I'm just like, I just tell everybody, right? But when you're 5 years old, you're just like, you want to be like everybody else. You want to fit in. And everybody else had these moms and dads that were normal. And like, I was just like, oh, so I remember just hiding for a long time and not really knowing where my place was. And I had to grow up like super quick. So like being 8 years old and my mom remarrying, and I was like a little mini adult, and I was like telling her, well, this is what we need to do next. Like, this is how we, anyway, so it was always just very different. And when I decided to, have a career in nursing, I chose that job because I wanted something stable. I wanted something that was noble, and I wanted to help a lot of people. And so I got started in nursing and loved that. But then when I started to have my own kids, I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to like spend time with them. And I found network marketing, and really they told me I could have financial freedom. And I was like, yes, sign me up. I have to struggle like I struggled growing up. And it was like this whole transformation that happened for me in that moment, because it was like, if you're going to be good at this, you have to stop hiding, and you're going to have to show the world like, who Cayla is, and not be ashamed of like, your past, because, it was all meant for you. Like, it made you a stronger person. I was 20 when I found network marketing, which most people would think that's young, right? And I sign up 23-year-olds now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so young. But I was like 60 years old in my mind. Like, I had already lived life. Okay. And anyway, and so I was able to have success, fairly quickly in network marketing, and helped a lot of people have success too. And so it's just, I found like so much fulfillment and not hiding anymore, and showing other people how to not hide and like really shine bright in who you are.
Yes. I love, I was listening to something you said about, I think it might have been your intro to one of your podcasts about, you talk about own your story, like own your story. And I'm a true believer in it, you know, coming from a family of addiction. And I also was an addict. I was in jail. And the more I own my story, the cool thing is the more I own it, the more I actually reveal a new version of me. And even more importantly, the more I own it and share it, the more people I can affect. So I love that you're vulnerable, because we are going to get vulnerable today. So you talked about your father going to jail. If you don't mind, elaborate. You're 5 years old. Your father's in jail. What is he in jail for? How long is he in jail for? I just really want to get that, you know, Cayla, when she's 5 years old, what she's going through.
I didn't know at the time why he was going to jail, but my mom was, I knew he was on drugs. And so I kind of grew up like knowing like, why, Mom, you know, tell me what's going on. Like, you know, and then I found out later, cause he was in and out of jail probably until I was about 26 years old. So he's, you know, been struggling. He is semi-sober now, I call it. He still drinks, but, anyway, I didn't ever know, but then I found out he was going to jail because he kept stealing because he was so desperate. And so that would, you know, put him back in jail. So, and jail was always the safest place for him to go. And that's what, so when I would go and visit him when he was in jail, I was always happy he was there. I would rather him be on the street. He would become like the dad that he was always supposed to be. He would send me letters and like all these motivational things. He became a runner and a firefighter in jail. And, like, you know, was like this stand-up guy. And then it was like, made me be proud of him. And, he was actually like one of the reasons why I got into fitness and why I, do all these things from jail, writing me letters, right. And telling me how to train. So it was really cool.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny. If anybody who's listening to this or watching this on YouTube, if you have a parent that's been to jail, you get it. Like, you understand where all of a sudden you go in there and your parent turns into an actual parent again.
Yes.
Right. And they start believing in things that before you didn't know that they actually knew about, right? It might be God or, you know, love, whatever it might be. And they turn into this different person. But the reality is, it's not a different person. It's who they truly are. They just unfortunately have made bad decisions so much that they created super bad habits and they didn't know how to get out of it. So I feel for your story. And that's why I wanted to ask you, and you talking about, you know, he goes to jail and becomes like a different person, but becomes a person you can be proud of and writing letters. I know 1000% what that's like. And anybody listening, you guys know what that's like. And those of you who don't, it's all good, because there's somebody, you know, if they're in jail or not jail, that an experience happens and it changes their life. And some people stick, some people don't. So tell me, what made you shift, really that big shift, maybe one time? I mean, there's probably a bunch of events, but was there one time where you made the shift to say, you know what, like, I went ahead and I'm a nurse and I love what I do, but this is not enough. There's something more that I need to be doing. When was that shift and how did you find it?
That's a good question. Okay. So this was actually after I was already successful in network marketing. I was still working as a nurse and I still had that employee mindset, that broke mindset. But I was making six figures because I'm a hustler. And well, I'm a recovering hustler. I'll call it that. Anyways, and I had my second baby, and Charlie, and she's 6 now, and she wouldn't take a bottle, so I had to nurse her. And my mom would bring her down to the ER, and every 3 hours, and then like sometimes I was a charge nurse, so it was like, oh, like if a crisis is happening, I couldn't go out there, and my mom would wait in the parking lot with the screaming baby, basically like 12 hours a day when I would go and do my shifts. And that was the shift for me. Was one time I'm in the back of my mom's car nursing my baby and just thinking like, and I'm like, why am I missing out on all of this? You know, and for what? For stability? Like really, that's what it was. It was because I was scared because I never wanted to end up, you know, like struggling financially. Look, like I know looking at this little face right now that I will do whatever it takes for like forever, you know, for her to never have to feel that way. And so I knew in that moment that she was my why. All of my kids are my why and why I keep going and I'll never struggle, you know? So that's when I took that risk and made that shift. Like, I know I'm capable of doing this.
Yes. And so my question next is always like, hey, what's your why? And you just said it, but I want to go deeper. So you say your why is your kids. Why are they so important to you? Because some people, you know, they love their kids, but that's not their driving motivating factor. Why is it so important for you to be successful in front of your kids?
I think because I had a friend growing up that had super successful parents, and they were kind of the role models for me, where I looked up to them and I'm like, gosh, one day I want to be like them. They're very, very wealthy, and they're like the kindest people. I went to college and they paid for me to like have room and board. Like they were just like very kind and generous. And every wealthy person I knew was very helpful. Like, I had somebody when I was in nursing school pay my car payment the whole entire time because they just saw something in me. And I didn't ask, they just came and said, I want to do this. And I thought, gosh, like I want to be able to do that. And so anyways, that's a huge driver. I want my kids to see that like money is never going to be the reason why you can't do something. The reason why, if you ever fail at something, it's because you quit. And so I want to show them like that mindset of a champion, like whatever you want, you can have. Anything is possible. And if I want my kids to believe that, I have to show them that all the time. At first it was just like, oh, I want, to be able to put them in gymnastics. And now it's that I want them to be champions. And my son, who's 8, he's an ice hockey player, and he really wants to be in the NHL. And I'm like, well, privileged children, like they get more, like because you can pay for the lessons, they can go to all these camps, and they can get agents right now. And, believe it or not, that's when they start at 8 years old. Crazy. And it's crazy. And so I have this whole talk with Cooper, and I'm like, listen, like champions, like you can't complain about going to practice. If you really want to be in the NHL, like mommy will take it serious, but like, let's have this conversation right now. And he's like, yes. In his brain, after I had this champion talk with him, and he's like all in. Every day he's practicing, he's doing dry land practices, and he's like just all focused 100%. He wants to be in NHL. He tells everybody. He sees like my ads on YouTube, and and I talk about how I help people make their dreams a reality. He's like, Mom, you're going to help me. So that's my why. It's just like showing them all the time, like, we can do this. Like anything is possible.
Yes, I love it. And when he does get into the NHL, so he's got to go to the New York Rangers. I'm a diehard New York Ranger fan. So this way
he won't.
Listen, I'm somehow, some way, I'll make a call to New York. We'll get him to the Rangers, so that this way we have some in for the Madison Square Garden. All right, so you had to sacrifice a lot, obviously, being a mom, stopping, basically a career that was in the health industry, which is never going to go anywhere. So you always had that feeling of security when you're in the health industry. For the most part, what things did Cayla have to sacrifice, and was it all worth it?
Oh my gosh. I just did a call early this morning. You sacrifice sleep.
Being a parent, you definitely sacrifice sleep. That's for damn sure.
Right. So, but I was talking to her about like the sacrifices you have to make, and it's always a short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. And, I knew going into this, I was going to probably sacrifice 2 years of my social life, of my family life. And I was looking at it like long-term that it was going to be worth it, and it totally was. But things I had to sacrifice were friends, friends that didn't get where I was going and kind of wanted to bring me down. Coworkers that I thought were my friends that were completely, just on their own journey and wasn't going to be supportive of mine. But that's hard, especially at 23 years old. Like, like your identity is in your friends a lot of the time, and your career, your new career. I sacrificed a lot of, time with my family, and not just like my immediate family, but like my mom. I had to do like a whole separation period for positive and not affected by other people's energy. And so, you sacrifice some like relationships, like they may never be the same, but I am so glad because of the person I've become today. And it's just like you sacrifice like missing certain things, like, and I've missed like my son's birthday twice. I've been gone traveling, and people don't like to talk about that because they always want to show the glory. But and I talked to Cooper about it now. It's like, look, like mommy missed those 2 things, but look, now I don't miss anything, and it's worth it.
You mentioned the relationship with your mother. This is huge. First of all, you and I, very similar stories. We're going to chat after this about some things, but I think that's a big problem. A lot of the listeners and viewers right now are like, I know I need to separate myself from this family member, mother, father, brother, sister. It's hard though, because it is blood and the conversation's hard. So what suggestions do you give? What action do you give to people that say, hey man, I know I need to separate myself, but how do I do it? From a family member, how do I do it? What's your process?
Mm-hmm. I just practice limited association. So, and I've learned this over the last 7 years. It's not easy, right? But I have extreme boundaries. Okay. And, I just stick really hard on those. But what I would do is like, okay, let's say, me and my mom used to talk every single day. Every single day. And I got to a point where it was like, if I talk to her every single day, then it's just not healthy for me. Okay. And so I would say 1 day a week. I used to go and just spend a lot of time with her too. And it was like, no, now I live in a different city, so it makes it easier. But that was an intentional move that I made.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because sometimes we have to do that. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. But if you don't do that, it's like you're literally sacrificing the rest of your life, and you're not stopping the cycle. Because if I would have continued, I would have ended up just like my mom. We're so much alike.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to do something drastic like that, because then look, I have a little daughter. She was going to end up just like that. Right. And so we keep on perpetuating anyway, so you just do that. Practice limited association. If it means you normally talk to somebody 7 days a week, break it down to 1 at first. And I know that's drastic, but then, I even got to a point where I didn't talk to certain people in my family for over a year. And I didn't talk to my dad for 5 years. So, I had to protect myself, and people don't realize the most important relationship that you can have is the one with yourself. And if somebody's, messing with your energy, and they're not doing it intentionally, but you're not strong enough yet. And so you have to protect yourself.
I want you to repeat that for everybody. Guys, I always tell you, get your pen and papers ready, because these guests are going to be nothing but dropping absolute bombs of value. Say what you just said about the best and most important relationship you have.
The most important relationship you can have is the one with yourself. And yeah, so it's all the time, I don't care what other people are thinking about what I'm doing. It's what do I think about what I'm doing? Yes. And can I live with myself at the end of the night? And now I know this. It's look, I've created this freedom. And one of my main goals is to be able to take care of my mom financially for the rest of her life. And so even though we might not have a close relationship, we don't spend a lot of time together, it's still, I'm going to take care of her, because I have to sleep with myself at the end of the night. Right. And I want to sleep good. So, right. And so there's still those things. It's not like I'm cutting out people in cold, because I still have those things that I want to do. So yeah.
So how did you approach your mom now? Because I think that's the big problem, right? So we could set these, what was once acceptable is no longer acceptable. We could set these boundaries in our own mind, but now I got to talk to mom. Now I got to tell mom, look, for the past 20 plus years, this is how our life has been. This is how our relationship has been. It's now going to change. How does one go about that?
Okay. So this is not funny, but funny. I was 24 when I decided I was going to do this. And so I didn't have a mentor. I didn't invest in a coach at that time. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a coach then. And so I did it the wrong way. It was just not texting back, not calling back, just, bye. Because, and you might understand this, but it's a defense mechanism, especially if you grow up with how we did. You just cut people out. You're done. And I've done that so many times growing up. Anyway, and so I ended up getting a coach about 3 years ago. And this was to help me repair the relationship, because I had done so much damage in the process of just stone cold, not having this conversation. Right. And what's really great is now I teach all my clients this process that he taught me. And his name's Matthew Ferry. He's a great real estate coach. I had to beg him to take me on. I just really liked what he was doing. And what he did was he was all these things that you don't like about your mom that you say are toxic to you are things that you don't like about yourself. And I was like, yeah, whoa, I got to look in the mirror. Right. And he said, write down every single complaint that you have about your mom. And we're going to go through this process, and you're going to call your mom, or you're going to do this in person and ask. Okay. Someone shut that door, please.
It's all good. Yeah. Kids just coming in and they just interrupt, like they run the world, right? I mean, trying to go to the bathroom and it's like they can just open a door with,
Right.
and it's okay, right? Privacy is absolutely not even a word in my household anymore.
I love it. Anyway, and so I had to write down all these complaints about my mom and then go through this thing, how all of my complaints, it was actually not reality. It was a story I was making up about my mom, and ask for forgiveness from her. So instead of going, you did all this wrong and I want you to, apologize to me, it was, I'm going to ask for forgiveness from you for holding a grudge against you for all these years, for all these things. And it was so, oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever to do, because now it's like my relationship with my mom, even though it's still not the same, I'm just have massive gratitude for everything that she did, that people could look at and go, whoa, you what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm so grateful that happened. Like I realized all of those things that I went through was all meant for me. Like it's why I am so strong today, why I'm so driven. Like if she would have, been normal, quote unquote, right? I would probably be so complacent, so yeah.
I love that. So giving forgiveness has created a stronger bond with you and your mom currently?
I mean,
some days.
it's not, I don't think it will ever be the same, because I'm so protective over just boundaries of who I let in, give me advice, all that kind of stuff, and who I just hang out with, right? Because you become the sum of who you hang out with the most. And so,
yeah. And so I think what the biggest thing is actually it created the forgiveness wasn't necessarily for mom. It was for Cayla. Right.
Yeah.
That's
even
awesome.
though I was saying I'm sorry to her. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, slumps. I want to talk about slumps because you're an extremely, like you said, a hustler, a hustler that's going through, some kind of transformation, not to be a hustler anymore. Cause I agree with that. There's people use the word hustle a little bit too much, but you're a hard worker and you take a lot of action. I noticed, but there comes a point in time where we get into a fog. We get into this slump, I guess you could say. What does Cayla do when she gets into this slump to get her ass back on the horse and start going again?
Well, okay. So one thing I would recommend everybody do is invest in a coach. When you're paying somebody money to like basically keep things you said you were going to do, you show up, right? And so that's one thing I did a couple years ago. I was like in this weird slump because I was like comparing myself to so many people out there. And I was like, gosh, why am I not here and there? And they're doing this. And I literally got so caught up in that it was paralyzing me. Because I was focused. And he basically helped me with that process. Another thing you do is like, who are you hanging out with? Who are you hanging out with? I'm always like reevaluating. I look at my text messages and I look at like, my last 10 phone calls and I'm like, who did I talk to today? Because if it's only me coaching people all day long and me not getting like any girl time or friend time or business partner time, like that's not healthy because it's like me pouring out all the time and me not getting filled back up. So your environment is everything. In a slump, like I just moved 4 months ago because I was like, I need to get out of the city. I need to go somewhere like happening. So I'm willing to take like drastic action always. And if I get too comfortable, it's like, make a move.
And what's your biggest limited belief that you overcame, or maybe you still overcome it daily? It's not completely squashed. And I always talk about it. We all have limited beliefs, people who are successful like ourselves, and then people who aren't successful. But the biggest difference is we don't live in it, and we have a process around how we basically collapse that limited belief down to take action, but sometimes it creeps back up. So what was one of your biggest limited beliefs, or still is, and what's your process to overcome it?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I call these things lenses. It's like basically the way that you look, you look at life through a lens. And for most of my life, and still I find myself creating stories around the same lens. It's I am nothing. And so I worked so hard to prove that I was something. And then when I proved I was something, I still thought I was nothing. And trying to find that, that worthiness that only we can give ourselves. Nobody else can give us that worthiness. It's us going like, hey, you are valuable. You bring things to the table that no one else does. You're unique. Like, you could say those affirmations all day long. Trust me, I did it for a really long time. But that's not what works. What works is just getting into action. it always comes down to action for me anytime I'm like struggling with that limiting belief, because you're going to feel like nothing if you're doing nothing. Right. And so it's okay. Well, prove yourself wrong right now and go do something. That's what I do.
You're going to always feel like nothing if you're doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Love it. I love that. And you're right. You got to take action. The best way to crush a limited belief is to take action immediately in that same direction. Right. Mm-hmm. And I love that you think the same exact way I do, to where it's like, I could battle all day inside my own mind, but all that's doing is wasting energy. Right. And that wasted energy, that wasted space is not allowing me to put the energy to something that's going to be more impactful, short-term and long-term. So I love that. I love it. So if, all of a sudden, you go ahead and you wake up in the morning and you get an email, and the email is not what you hope for, or you get a text message like we all do, and it's not what we hope for. How do you deal with that instant negativity? How do you get over that?
It depends on what it is. Like yesterday, I got a text message that was super disappointing, and it was kind of like a rejection type of thing. And it's a blessing, and it's redirecting me to something better. And so it's like having those little tools in your tool belt to just like get out of it really quick, because I'll go down that negative thing. Oh my God, they're rejecting me. Like blah, 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 blah. And it's just not true. And so like, I think I've seen so often in my life, when things like that happen my way, it's like God protecting me. It's going like, that wasn't meant to be. Like, and you just have to trust the process. Like, even though you thought it was going to look this way, it's going to look better. It's going to look better one day, and you have to trust the process. And so, it's kind of like doing a lot of reflection work every night before I go to sleep. I reflect on what went good, what went bad. I've been doing that for so long now. Now I can look back and see like all those things that I thought were going to be crises and like ruin my life actually made my life better, eventually.
Yes. In due time. Chris Harder, I just had him on, and he talked about his tattoo on his arm, and he talked about how it says the world conspires in your favor.
Oh, that's good.
And it's kind of the same way. And it goes back to the victim mentality versus victim mentality. And growing up the way you did, you utilize the things that happened to you to be a victim, right? We made it okay to be a victim. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, just changing that mentality. So all of a sudden, you go ahead, you get over it. So good, we're good to go. Now, what do you do when you first wake up? You wake up, you get that email. What's the next thing you do to get over it? Not mentally, but physically. Is there something you do to put your body in motion?
Well, I mean, I have like this. Successful people rely on their habits all the time. So
that's what I'm trying to get to. Yep.
Yeah. So I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. Okay. And I do that because, it's just a hard rule for me, because I like to sleep anyway, and I have kids, but I make myself get up. If I don't get up before the kids, my life is like going to be crazy. And so it's always been a rule, 5 a.m., do gratitude, do visualization. I do prayer, and I hired a trainer. So I, spend like about $200 an hour. And I tell people this because people always have so many freaking excuses. It drives me nuts. And you vote with your wallet more than you vote with your time. And so I hired this trainer. I go 5 days a week, 6:30 in the morning for Pilates. And I won't cancel on my trainer ever. Okay. I'll cancel on myself all day long. I won't go to a $30 class, but I will show up to this lady that I pay $200. She's amazing. Right. But, so I'm always having that. And when I move my body first thing in the morning, it sets the tone for the rest of the day. You get your endorphins up, and like fitness is just so important to me. And, I could talk about the way fitness is related to business all day long, because it takes a long time to see results and all of that stuff. And so, I don't know. I just like, when I start my morning off like that, I feel untouchable throughout the day, honestly. Because what's going to happen? I'm not going to die from a bad email, from a bad text, or from whatever, somebody being mad at me. I'm not going to die. My kids aren't either. So let's go.
So you basically create that momentum in the morning by getting your body moving.
Yeah. That makes sense. Sorry.
No, you're good. And so you got 2 hours in the morning. That's obviously super important. The other most important 2 hours of your day are going to be, in my opinion, before you go to sleep, right? Those are the most important 4 hours. The 2 when you wake up, the 2 when you go to sleep. What do you do 2 hours before you go to bed?
Okay. I wish I had more structure around this, honestly. But I don't. So I do gratitudes. I do visualization before I go to bed. I do this Louise Hay meditation to help me fall asleep. It's like this YouTube video that I've been doing, and I absolutely love it. I have lavender diffusing while I sleep, and I say my prayers. And I try to not be on my phone after 7 o'clock at night, just because I need to turn off, and it takes me like a couple hours to turn off. So that's something that I do. And then if I'm reading, I always read a fiction book at night, because if I read any type of personal development, like I'll be up and it's just like, my mind will just keep going and I won't be able to turn off. So I like fiction because then it just like makes me go into dreamland,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. At the end of your days, you're going to have God or whoever you call your God, somebody standing there saying something to you, right? White pearly gates, and somebody's going to be saying something to you at the end of your day. What do you want those words to be?
Oh my goodness. I just want him to say like, well and done, good and faithful servant. Because I just believe that he gave me like talents and skills that he didn't give everybody else. And I want to I want him to know that I'm going to use them all up and I'm not going to take them for granted. So I want him to say like, good job. You squeezed like every last piece of juice out of that one. And I just want to make him proud, I guess.
Yes, that is awesome. What's the number one habit? We talked about habits a lot so far, but what's the number one habit you think out of all the habits? What's the number one to be super successful? If you had to narrow it down to the number one thing, what would that be, you think?
Oh gosh, I have two. I don't know if I could do one. Okay.
You can say two.
Okay. Because so in business, I think the number one thing that you can do to be successful is getting better at sales and just owning the fact that you're a salesperson and like, how can you get better every single day at selling, but not selling, if you know what I mean? And then just like, in order to even like be somebody that somebody wants to be in business with, you need to love yourself. And this is like everybody that I work with. I attract so many people that are like me, 5 years ago. And it's just like a lot of people, like they self-loathe and they think they're not worthy. And like, it's because I used to do that too. And so I work hard every single day. I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror and tell myself why I love myself. And starting the day off like that, because then it's like, you're high vibe, you're giving off all those good vibes to people around you, and good people are coming into your life. When good people are in your life, great things happen. And so, I think it has to be two.
Do you believe in the law of attraction? Because I hear you kind of talking about affirmations and whatnot. Are you a big believer in the law of attraction? And has that ever happened to you where you're like, that definitely happened because of A, B, and C?
I totally believe in the law of attraction. And if you don't, it's working for you or against you right now. Just, whether you believe in it or not, it's working. It's working. So, and I used to think it was a bunch of hoopla, and then I see it all the time. Just looking back at the beginning of my business where I was like, super excited. I was ignorance on fire 7 years ago. And I wasn't dealing with all those feelings of insecurity and I am nothing yet, because I was just excited and I saw possibility in my life, and all these amazing people were coming into my life. And then when I went into comparison mode and was seeing all these things that other people were doing right, and I was like looking, oh, I'm not doing that. And so I was very low vibe. I kept attracting negative people and negative energy into my life. And it felt like things were falling apart. And like, that's the law of attraction at work right there.
It's so real. It's so deep too. I've had certain experiences that I truly believe were 100% because, the law of attraction, from vision boards down to watching podcasts over and over again to the same person, then, being able to be in front of them, meeting them, being on stage with them. They're just, I don't believe in coincidences at all. So you're right. It's working either for you or against you. 2 o'clock, it comes for most people and they get dead. They get so tired. They hit a wall. What do you do to keep your energy up the whole entire day through and through?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so many things. Drinking a ton of water. People think you could just hustle and not take care of your health. Like, that's the number one thing. You need to be drinking water. I take adaptogen shots. And then I always do jumping jacks. So like in between like every thing I'm going to do, I'll do jumping jacks. So like yesterday I had back-to-back calls every 20 minutes, like boom, 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 boom. So Zoom call, I'm like doing 10 jumping jacks just to like change my energy, and get, just like, woo, get fired up again. And last night I was like filming ads. I'm doing jumping jacks on the beach, like while I'm filming ads. Cause I'm like, I gotta be pumped up every time we film. And so anytime I'm feeling like any type of negative way, throughout the day, like I need energy right now. I'll drop and do 20 squats. I mean, I'm known, like people on my team will be walking and I'll just start doing walking lunges. I'm like, we need to like follow along, you guys, because we got to do something here.
Yes, I love it. But you get your body moving.
Yeah.
Create energy. And people think that when they get their body moving, it's actually wasting energy, right? So they're going to get more tired. But you're saying, guys, if you're working a 9 to 5 right now and you're tired at 2:00, get up and do some damn jumping jacks and do some squats in the middle of the office. I love it. That's fantastic. Core values. I'm a big believer in core values. I think that successful people, we make our decisions much quicker because we're able to filter them through our core values. What are some of your core values, and why are they so important to you?
My number one is my faith. It's just, my compass on how I live my life. And if, alignment with my faith, like it's not going to happen. Or I need to like get rid of it immediately. Then the next thing is my family. So just like making sure everything's in alignment with that. So like I went on this whole thing where I was going to be, like a road warrior, where I was going to like go speak everywhere and like motivate people all over the world. And I decided, wait, that is not in alignment with who I want to be. Like, hello, you got into network marketing because you wanted to be with your kids. And now you're saying you're going to leave every single week? No. So there's that. And also just impact. I mean, that's a huge thing. Like, is it going to impact a lot of people?
I love it. So goals were super successful because, we set goals to take massive action, but there's a million ways, Cayla, to set goals, as you know. What's your best practice that you can give the audience of setting goals, whether it's a monthly goal, a yearly goal, daily? Like if there's 1 to 3 things that you can say, this is the best practice that I found while setting goals so that I actually can go ahead and take action and achieve that goal.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I talk about all day long. So when I set a goal, I like to do 90-day goals, and then I like to do a 1-year goal and a 5-year goal. And I like to do this just because visualization is so powerful. So you decide what your goal is, then you're going to declare it over your life and give yourself a time, like a timeline. So in 90 days on this day, this is going to happen. And you're declaring it over your life. In 1 year from today, like on this date, I'm going to cash this check for this amount of money because I've provided services throughout the year as blah, 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 blah. And so declaring it is first thing with a date. So, because then it makes you just take massive action, it makes you take massive action. And I always ask people, like, in your, 5-year goal, what does your life look like? What does your day look like? How are you waking up? How do you feel throughout the day? What are you eating? Who are you hanging out with? All of those things. And I want you to visualize it. I want you to think about your whole entire day in your mind right now and spend a lot of time. Like, make sure you know exactly how it feels. Like, what is it that you in the bank? And they're like, oh my gosh, I feel unstoppable. I feel unshakable. Oh my gosh, I feel so good. Okay. If you want to be that person, you want to wake up like that with that amount of money in your bank account in 5 years, you have to be that person today. So goals are great, but you have to realize that in order to achieve a goal, you have to become the person that is worthy of that goal. Okay. And so be that person now. There's no reason why you couldn't be that person right now in all of those actions that you take and how you feel, because everybody wants to be a CEO. Everybody wants to be their own boss. They want to have time freedom, financial freedom. They want to have this big old freaking team. And I'm like, well, okay, this is how, if you want to show up like me when you have a team of over 61,000 people, you're consistent. You are consistent. So you want to have that, be consistent now. You don't wait for 5 years and then think people are going to follow you. No, you act like a leader right now. And so it makes you just start taking actions, and then you actually achieve your goal.
Yes. And you said something super important. You said declare versus goal setting. That small little shift, right? Declare. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a small shift that makes a huge difference. And you're all about words. I've heard you talk about it before. yeah, you are very, very conscious of what words you say and allow into your life. Give me a little more insight on why you feel it's so important, and what are some of the words that are non-negotiable, not allowed in your life at all, whether it's you, your friends, your family.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So when I was getting into this whole personal development thing, this was probably like 5 years ago. Somebody invited me to get on this guy's webinar. I don't even remember his name anymore because I wish I could give him credit. Okay. But he was talking about, he had all these circles and all these colors. I don't know what he was doing, but he was talking about vibes. And he goes, listen, your thoughts create your feelings create your actions, and your actions create your character creates your destiny. And that was the first time I ever heard that in my life. And I wish they would teach that. I mean, I teach that to my kids all the time now. But gosh, if people would have told me that when I was 5, whoa, right? Anyways, and so that is, ever since that I heard that, I was like, your thoughts are powerful. Your thoughts are things, and you can decide what thoughts you have. And so that's why I'm so huge on that, is like, I can have negative thoughts. I can choose to be that person, or I can choose to be somebody different. So anytime I'm like saying something like, whoa, what was that? That was like the old Cayla coming out. I'm like, nope. And then I say it out loud. I'm like, no, this is, so one word, he challenged us on this webinar. He said, you don't say don't. Are you kidding? These are the words you can't say. And it was can't, don't, and no. And he gave us a challenge of like a couple weeks. And I realized how many times I was using those words on a daily basis, like without even thinking about it. And so I challenged myself, and I was like, no, I really followed along with that challenge. And anytime I wanted to say that, I found it to say it in a positive way. So instead of going, I can't go to that meeting because I have a call, or I can't go to that party because I have a call, it was like, I'm choosing to stay at home and work on my business. So cool. So it was just like going and being empowered. Like, your thoughts can empower you, or they can disempower you. And I want to choose to feel empowered every single day. And people know, if they're hanging out with me, you're in a crowd with me, I hear you say something, I'm like, wait, what did you say? Don't ever say that out loud again. And people are like, I bet you. And I'm like, I know. Welcome to the Cayla Club. Like, seriously.
Yes. Yes. Another one, I think a lot of people say that they don't even realize, and I have to catch myself sometimes, but I have to, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have to do this podcast. I have to go to the gym. That right there. And I catch myself saying a lot. I'm a big believer in our words do create our feelings, and so on and so forth. But I have to it's always when I have to catch myself, because everybody says it around you, that you really got to either distance yourself from as many people that are like that as possible, which we talked about, or just be so self-aware that in that moment you stop and say, no, I get to. My wife tells me all the time, like when I say I have to, she just looks at me and she knows it's coming. I get to. I get to, because it's mindset of it's obligation versus opportunity. When you say I have to, it's obligation, which we don't like. When you say I get to, that's opportunity, which we love as humans.
Oh,
right?
I love that. Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. So what we're going to go into now, it's one of my favorite parts of the show, is where I say a few words, right, one at a time, and then you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. What do you associate with that word? Because everybody thinks, here's a word and thinks something differently. So I want you to tell us what you think of that word immediately. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. First word is going to be fear.
Less.
I like that. Failure.
Necessary.
Success.
Only one word. Opportunity.
Opportunity. Hustle.
Less.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. That was phenomenal. Okay, now I want to go ahead and do what we do at the end of every show. The whole point of this, Cayla, is for people to be better today than they were yesterday, but for you to provide them with actionable things, right? Things that they can implement immediately to go ahead and be better today than they were yesterday. Something actionable. So 3 things that they could take action on right now that would help design the life they've always wanted to live. And I got my pen and paper. You guys, go ahead, take 10 seconds, get your pen and paper if you haven't been taking notes already, because it's going to be fire.
Okay,
All right.
can I have
I'm
a
ready.
quick question before quick fire before this?
You know what? Yeah.
Okay. Who are the people that will mainly be listening in?
So we will have everybody and anybody. I'm talking about business owners, the people trying to start a business, the people that are, working 9 to 5, that just really need some actionable things to create a better quality of life.
Okay.
Anybody and everybody. The avatar is a human being that wants to get better.
Okay. That's good to know, because I was gonna totally give business advice, because that's where I always go to. But I'm gonna do something different. So
What I talk about is all 6 equities of life.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say number one thing that you have to do right now, move the needle in your life and get better, is I want you to write out a list of every single person that you feel has wronged you in your life. And then I want you to list all the complaints about them. And I want you to look at those lists, and I want you to write a letter to every single one of them, telling them how thankful you are for them being in your life, or for the part that they played in your life. And you can call them and tell them this, or you can just read it out loud and have closure over it. And no longer, this is so powerful, because you're no longer going to have bitterness in your heart whatsoever. Only room for gratitude. Gratitude is high vibes, and you're going to be much happier there. Okay. So I would do that. That's what you got to do, because we all want to feel good. We all want to feel happy all the time. And
I love it.
And the second thing is you have to be always progressing in life. I don't care where you are. If your business is making 8 figures a year, it can do better. If you're at your 9 to 5 job and you're the top salesperson, or, you always get a good conduct report or whatever you do there, get better. How can you get better? And so I want you to look at that and ask yourself, what is something that I can be doing every single day, and the compound effect will happen. So does that mean that, you make 1 extra call a day, but commit to doing that for the next year? Okay. Because this is why people will listen to this podcast and they'll say, oh gosh, I feel so freaking good after this girl. I heard, she used to have a dad in jail and now she's a millionaire. So I'm going to do what she says. And they're going to do it today. And then they're going to do it tomorrow. And then they're going to forget about the promise that they made themselves to grow as a human being, because, that's what happens. People fall out of integrity with themselves all the time. So I'm challenging you to commit to yourself and stop failing yourself. And do that one small thing, commit to one small thing. And because people think they want to, it's like the New Year's resolutions. They want to make this big, huge thing happen. And I'm like, just change one thing in your life every single day and make it small. For me, I always challenge people to 1 sales call, because that's doable. And then write it in your calendar right now. Literally write it in your calendar and make it repeatable for the next 365 days. That's how serious I am, and see what's going to change in your life. And some people, for me, I did this last year to myself, because I was like, I need to give back more. And I put in, I'm going to send out 1 note, a thank you, a handwritten card to people every single day for 365 days, a different person every day. I wrote it into my calendar. It's something I did before 7 a.m. every morning. And that's why I'm so big on gratitude now, because I'm like, gosh, it changed my life. So do that. Okay.
Good.
The third tip is, look at who you're hanging out with. And it doesn't matter where you're at in life. If you want to be happy, you need to be around happy people that love where they're going, that are excited about life. If you're hanging out with people that are complacent, that are okay with never growing, that, want to just have the same job for the next 40 years and, drink beer on the weekends, whatever it is that they do. I don't know why I have that stereotype in my head, but there's those people. If you want to be that person, then own it and say, okay, that's what I want to be. But know that that's what you're going to be in life. Focus on if you're like, gosh, I don't want to be that person, but I just don't know where the new people are. What you focus on, you find. So I want you to make a list of who your ideal 5 people would be. Okay. And you can call this the inner council. Okay. And it could be like John, it could be like, I want to hang out with somebody like John. Okay. Well, write out all the characteristics of him and focus on that every single morning. That should be part of your morning ritual, to look at that list, and then what you focus on, you find. So I'm focused on finding people like that throughout the day in my life, because trust me, they're out there. but you've been so focused on the wrong people for a long time that you keep getting the wrong people in your life. And your environment is everything. If you're not blooming, it's because who you're hanging out with.
So good. So good. Yes. Those are, I mean, some of the best 3 I've heard, not going to lie. They are good. I appreciate that. And you said about, going ahead and writing down what you want out of, your relationships, out of a person, right? What characteristics and what you focus on, you become. And it's real. It is real. Stop focusing on what you don't want and focus on what you do want, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I just did a live on that yesterday.
Did you? Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. So speaking about live, speaking about Cayla, where can they find you? What's coming up? What's new? This is your floor. This is your platform. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you. Anything you want to let them know.
Okay, cool. So I podcast, like you said, and we have a community on Facebook, and it's free to be a part of that. I also have a Mommy Millionaire Blueprint course, whereas if you already have a business that's like semi-successful and you just want to make it big, you want to scale it to 7 figures, I have that program that I'm helping people monetize, and it's so fun to be in. And then I also have my first ever live event that's coming out in November in Newport Beach, and it's going to be a mini mastermind weekend. So if you're looking like, hey, I want to find my tribe and I might have to invest in it to go find them, they're going to be at this event. It's all women. So sorry guys, but it's going to be all women there. And we're going to get inspired, but also just take action on your business right then and there. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I have a ton of free resources over on mommymillionaire.co. I have a branding guide, an ebook on the law of attraction, and a couple other things, time blocking, so much stuff over there for you. So if you go over and check out that website, we would love to help you get to where you want to go in your life. I
love it. The Instagram handle, what is it?
Oh, yeah. You got to follow me on Instagram, Cayla.craft, and it's Cayla with a C. So it's CAYLA.CRAFT.
Perfect. Guys, you need to first off go to her podcast, subscribe, listen, send it out, download it I think I saw every 2 days you put something out?
Yeah. That's
insane. That's awesome. Even the small little, 3 to 5 minute clips. And I love, I think it was Mommy Minute, was it called?
Yeah.
Yes. Guys, you need to go follow her on Instagram. You need to make sure you 100% go to her podcast and you subscribe, write her a review, and then dig into her content. Figure out if she's going to be a good fit and then take massive action to get around her and her sphere. Whether it's the mastermind or maybe it's going to be the event, but stop waiting and start doing and get in front of this girl because she is already made tons of money and changed tons of lives. And I'm telling you right now, you can mark my words that she is honestly nowhere near what's going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months. It's going, especially since you just moved. Grant Cardone talks about it. The best things in his life always happen after a major move. Mm-hmm. Always. So I appreciate you guys. You need to go follow her. Make sure you do it. Make sure you reach out to her with any questions. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to leave them? Any final words? Oh my gosh. I mean, sometimes people, especially if you're going to go to my Instagram, people will go, they instantly kind of can shrink back and go, oh my gosh, she's already done so much. I don't know if I could ever do what she's doing. And I just want you all to know that you're so unique. You're so special. Each of you have something different to bring to the table that the world needs. And so don't ever compare your beginning to somebody's middle. Just start where you are with what you know and who you love right now and just go. That one little phrase right there. Do not compare yourself to somebody's middle when you're at the beginning. Yes. Thank you so much, Cayla. I appreciate you and super grateful and honor for you and the wisdom and the value that you just dropped on my audience. Man, I am so excited to really just connect at a deeper level with you as well. So guys, make sure you go follow her and make sure you guys follow me as well. It's at Real John Marone if you're already not following me. Also subscribe if you haven't to the Power Progression Podcast and write a damn review. Look, if Cayla had dropped some value to you today, I want you to do me a favor and I want you to write a review. But most importantly, don't be selfish. Send this out to a family member, to a friend, somebody you know that could use maybe one little nugget that she dropped and it could change their life. It could change their world. It would change their future. Make sure you guys add the value back because Cayla just went ahead and dropped it all down for you guys. So once again, Cayla, I appreciate you. Thank you so, so much. Guys, we'll be back again on another episode next Tuesday. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, write a review, go follow Cayla, and make sure you create the ultimate version of you. Have a good one, guys.